What you are about to hear will blow your mind and give you six-pack abs without even exercising.
Pull up a bar stool and relax.
Hey, who wants to have some fun?
You've made it to Happy Hour with John Gaskins.
Oh, no. Not again.
Get ready for entertaining local and regional sports talk that will change your life. Or not.
And by the way, when you're telling these little stories, here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
Here's your host, John Gaskins.
Here's Johnny. Hello! Ah! I'm back, baby! I'm back!
Hey, happy hour on the road. Not very far from my house or this guy's house or anywhere in Sioux Falls. We're in the middle of Sioux Falls. We are at Midco Arena, the crown jewel of the campus of Augustana University. $74 million, the home of Division I hockey here at a school that has, for the last 20 years, really crushed it in all other sports in Division II. And for the last 8 years, the man overseeing huge facility projects, some coaching hires, but still a lot of stability within the transition and a ton of success. Josh Morton, the athletic director at Augustana, is here with us today, high atop Midco Arena.
Yeah, here we are.
You suggested this, and it
it's a nice
it feels
backdrop.
right.
So,
yeah,
it's
cold.
On a summer day, coming into a hockey arena is not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, this would be a good place to walk into on those 2 weeks of Hades that we had here up until the last couple of days. But, you've mentioned how your June was a little busier than you thought it would be because you replaced an all-time legend softball coach, Greta Melstad, who went to Minnesota. You've made a volleyball coaching hire. But, in general, when you walk into a place like this, knowing today you're going to do a chat about your life, the son of a legendary North Dakota State football coach who eventually went on to the Big Ten, a life in athletic administration. You did this for a little bit, TV sports anchor and reporter in both Fargo and in South Carolina before the career in athletic administration. But when you walk into here, this is kind of, again, it's a building, it's a symbol, certainly, of your time here at Augustana and what athletics has become here. So is the word pride. What do you think of when you step into a place?
It's a ton of pride because there's so many of us that help make this happen. Yeah. People in the community, our leadership on campus, our hockey staff, our administrative staff. So that's what's so gratifying I still do. When I walk into this place and I look around some days, I'm like, man, this is quite a building. Yeah. It's been the whole journey with hockey has been exceptional, and this is a huge part of it.
Yeah. That's where we could get started. Do you feel like this can be depicted as a hockey school? Are you comfortable with that? Since it's of the Mankato and St. Cloud and Omaha ilk of Division I hockey, Division II, everything else.
Well, we've proven quickly. I think the one thing you don't know is you put things in place and you want to be competitive. But the competitive piece, I think for most people would agree, we move pretty fast, and it's a credit to our coaches because they have done an outstanding job of bringing the right players to us that fit our campus, that are highly competitive. So that's the biggest piece. So we can. I mean, we were 2 goals away from being in the NCAA tournament, playing in Sioux Falls against North Dakota in year 3.
In year 3, in the Denny, 2 goals away. First playoff series win, and that came in year number 3. Back-to-back winning seasons in years 2 and 3. 40, 24, and 8, the overall record. Third place in the conference. Incredible. In year number 3 under Garrett Raboyne. And so, we can rip that Band-Aid off because a lot of people thought that was going to be it for him. I mean, such a explosive start to his career. And the Bob Motzko, his mentor from St. Cloud State and then the University of Minnesota, retires. And, of course, everybody was like, hey, I mean, why wouldn't he be an excellent candidate there? And then a few days later, here's a picture of you and Garrett here at Midco Arena, and he's here to stay. So, I mean, how close was that to happening?
Yeah, without getting into, I would never want to mention the other school because that's their deal.
Yeah.
It started with a guy who wanted to be here,
Yeah.
right? And so he appreciates what he's built. I think he appreciates the support that he gets and what he's built with our community members, our founding partners, that for us it was about having alignment. That's why I explain to people it's about when you have that kind of alignment from the board of trustees to the president, athletic director, to the hockey staff, like good things can happen, right?
Yeah.
And if you can find the right investors to make it happen, because we're competing at a totally different level, we have to benchmark against Minnesota, everything that we do. So I think that the biggest thing is it started with Garrett and his family that loves Sioux Falls. He loves what he's building here and wanted to be here. So then how can we make that happen?
Yeah, I can imagine it would be very difficult for Augustana to match the salary that the University of Minnesota would be able to pay him. So how much? And I know it's private.
Yeah,
I know the information is private.
School, John.
But how much, of an increase did you need there?
No, it was about a commitment to the program, and Garrett's not one to be just about him.
Sure,
it's about the whole program and our commitment, our founding partners' commitment to the program.
Yeah. Fill in the blank. Being the athletic director at the University at Augustana University, maybe I'll add in 2026 or for the last 8 years has been blank.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
The part of the reason I was President Herseth Sandlin's one of her first leadership hires.
Yeah.
So she came in August of 17. I came in May of 18. Augustana was in good shape, right? Slade did a great job. Coming on the heels of Bill Gross, who'd been here for 3 decades. So it came into a successful athletics department. So, and part of the reason I came was just because of the energy that it wasn't, it was about, we weren't going to sit still, right? It was going to be a place where you're going to be able to find ways to grow and I'll try new things and keep pushing and pushing.
Yeah.
So that it has been all that and more. And I think, hockey in 2021 that came along was just, it was an incredible journey, the most challenging probably I've ever experienced in my career, but also the most rewarding.
Sure.
And we're not done yet, but just to get to that night in January of 24, to get to this point, to open this place.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the years since. So wonderful, that's what I would say.
Yeah. Well, you had been hired out of Michigan State. Were you an assistant athletic
director for development? Had been there for 5.5 years and part of some amazing years there.
Yeah, and as your bio reads, and as it did the day you were hired, I mean, you helped raise $23 million in contributions. It's a big part of being a potential Division I athletic director or any athletic director these days, obviously, is the fundraising. But before that, you were at the University of North Dakota. And was that during the time of their Division I transition?
Yeah. Interesting times in Grand Forks. Both my wife and I's alma mater. I was a walk-on football player there. And so came in during an athletic director transition to Division I. Nickname controversy, really, but worked with some phenomenal people in the UND Foundation, and really learned to love what development was, and so really enjoyed my time in Grand Forks too.
So with those stops at a transitioning Division I school, at a Big Ten school, and then even your resume for this goes back to your childhood, just being the son of a football coach at a Division II national champion at North Dakota State, then a kind of an FBS group of 6 type place like Tulsa, and then into the Big Ten at Wisconsin. Did you kind of feel that, or were you told that part of the reason why you're being hired is maybe we're going to explore a Division I transition, and we want somebody with a lot of lifelong experience in this?
Oh yeah, I was certainly aware of what was going on, but at the time I knew I was coming to be a Division II AD.
Yeah.
There was no, but what I liked about it is they're at least exploring ways to continue to grow, right?
Yeah.
So that was more important to me than the division. I'm fortunate, I feel like, to have worked at those very different institutions, 3 very different institutions.
Yeah.
But even at all those 3 institutions, the mission is still it's the same, and that's what I worry about when I look at those way above us at football and basketball, where higher education is no longer part of the equation. Right. No one's thinking about graduation; it's about the other stuff, which is fine for them at their level.
Yeah.
But here, that's what's gratifying about Augustana, is that everything that we do is still tied to graduation.
Yeah.
It's tied to getting a great degree from Augustana University, and you get to compete at an incredibly high level and compete for championships.
Yeah, and that's very known. It's Captain Obvious how highly rated of an institution Augustana is academically, and certainly people who have been around here for a while are quite aware of the success in almost every sport and the longevity of so many coaches in almost every sport. And 8 years, how would you classify them? Because I'll go through this since I mentioned that, and then I'll the football coach here, Jerry Olszewski, has been here for 13 years, and obviously he's the all-time wins leader, and he's taken them to places they've really never gone. Consistent success, really for the very first time in the history of the program. Tim Huber has been here for 19 years. Baseball has won a national title. Greta Melstad was here for 20 and won a national title, and she goes right up to the University of Minnesota. Tom Billiter, before he stepped down a couple years ago, 21 years. Dave Crow, 34 years before he stepped down. And we'll get into those two. But Jason Reitmeyer's still here in his 23rd year. Tracy Hellman, when you were taking over, he was the cross-country coach. They had won a national title. He was here for 25 years until he left a few years. I mean, I can go on and on. Tennis and golf and soccer. So many great coaches who are here for 15 or more years, and only some of who have recently, retired or moved on.
It says a lot about Augustana.
Yeah.
And
that's what I was getting at.
Certainly before Josh Morton. But it says a lot about this place and our coaches that, number one, they understand what it takes to be successful here, because it is different. Like the academic rigor is real. Yeah. You need someone that does care about it and that wants to succeed academically. Yeah. And so it separates us. And so the coaches that stay here appreciate it and then find the best way to recruit to that too.
How would you depict the fan base, which consists of a lot of alumni? I would think a big portion of your fans that come to your football, basketball, hockey games went to school here.
Yep.
And it's tougher in every school in America, every minor league sports team like the one I work for, to draw as many fans as there used to be, with so many more competing things for the dollar.
Yep.
But how would you? So not just size wise, but makeup wise, the fan base here.
Oh, we have such great support, and I would say high percentage are Augustana alums, right? And so they grew up going to the arena for basketball games or Howard Wood. And so I know that those fans so appreciate just going over there on campus.
Yes.
Kirkby Over Stadium changed everything, I think, for Augustana athletics too. We have an awesome fan base. But then what you see with this facility and with our hockey program is, I love it because I see a lot of our fans who have season tickets in football, basketball, they come to volleyball, wrestling, everything. But then they've embraced hockey too as the new sport, and they love it here. But then I see a lot of people who maybe this is their first time to campus, coming into Midco Arena, coming to an Augustana hockey game, and that gets them in. And then I've heard people, well, then we tried football. Oh man, what a great stadium, right? What a great game day experience.
It is.
Or basketball. So I think that's what's been really cool about adding this sport in particular. Number one, we always say, hey, if you're a Jackrabbit or Coyote, you can still come cheer for Augustana hockey. Yeah. It's okay. We don't compete against you. So
it's the only college hockey team in the state.
Yep.
And I'm guessing that was kind of part of the pivot toward hockey back right around you were here for just a year or two when you kind of got that going.
3 years really, but
2020.
It's a differentiator, and that's what in a crowded, competitive higher ed marketplace. Augustana hockey was never just about 27 guys on the ice trying to win on Friday and Saturday nights. This is about elevating the profile of the university, about differentiating ourselves in a very competitive higher education marketplace.
Yeah. And that was, as I mentioned, kind of a pivot. And before I want to get to that, we should mention, before we go any further, right across the street, the Yeoman Center is getting a $3 million
it's a mess right now.
Renovation. That's why we're not in there.
That's right.
It might be a safety hazard. But if we had that behind us, it'd be, again, a kind of a sign of progress. And that, another part of you coming here was, well, not the reason why you were hired, but something that happened within the first year was the move over to the Pentagon for basketball. But now it's coming back over here. And just kind of describe that whole evolution. I'm sure the fans and major boosters have a lot to do with that as well. Just kind of, well, let's try over here. No, let's go back over to campus.
We loved our time at the Sanford Pentagon.
Yeah.
I mean, what a facility, right? Yeah. I mean, it is a premier basketball venue. When we have football, and then I think having hockey on campus, it just felt right to be playing on campus.
Yeah.
But if we're going to do that, we need to make it better.
Yeah, you're right.
Right. Facility was built in 1989, and grateful to the Ellman family, who they still care so much about that facility with their name on it at 33rd and Grange. And so they helped us reimagine the first step of revitalizing. So last year we did new lighting and new sound system. This year it's a totally new floor, new bleachers that still pull out from the wall because it's a multi-purpose facility, but it has chair backs on 3 of the 4 seating sections. So enhancing the fan experience because we needed to. Because it's the home of volleyball, basketball, wrestling, acrobatics and tumbling, track and field trains in there, and every sport touches that facility.
What you kind of mentioned it, but what kind of things are important in the experience, the fan experience for fans of all ages at the new Ellman versus what it has been?
Plastic bleachers versus a chair back, right? I think it starts there.
Yeah.
But I tell people, like, when we changed the lighting last year, to me, it meant a lot. And the sound system. Both, like, maybe little things that you don't always think about until you're in it and you go, okay, this is nice. We can do things with spotlights. We can turn the lights on. We can have little light shows. All those kind of things that just make it a better environment.
How much of how would you depict the student attendance at the Sanford Pentagon, and how much of getting it a little closer so they can just walk across campus, across the street, was it to bringing it back here as well?
Truthfully, we saw our student attendance go down, and that's hard when you look and go, man, it's a 15-minute drive, and so that was part of it for sure. Walk across the street, but going back to what you said, every college in America is dealing with student attendance.
Yes.
And you could go to our national convention and find 6 different sessions every day about how do we get students' attention? How do we get students' attention? So we're still working on it, but definitely it's certainly a lot easier for them to get over there.
Was that a recent convention that you were at?
No, I'm just saying every year going back to the last 10.
What are the general ideas? Or do you
I don't know that anybody's
share them?
because it's a challenge. It's just like there's competition for everything, and certainly I think as you look at our kids today, are they used to being so social as they used to be? Do they want to be? And so all those kind of factors, right?
Yeah.
It's lifestyle factors that come into play for this too.
Because we're about the same age. You went to UND. I went to the University of Nebraska. In your case, it's always been a huge hockey school.
Yep.
And at the time you were going there, I'm guessing it was really good in football.
Yep.
And
not because of me, but yes, we were.
Right, you were a walk-on quarterback. We'll get to that. But we're talking 25 years ago we were in college, and I guess that is a long time. 25 years ago, 25 years ago was a long time to me. Now it's not. It still feels like yesterday, but it does amaze me, and as I'm sure it does to you. Like, why wouldn't you? That would be like the thing. It would feel like the thing to do, as long as the team of the game that is going on is good, which most of the ones around here are. And it's puzzling to me that, and I have 3 of my own who are, not of my own, but I have 3 stepkids who are now 19 to 26. One of them's a freshman in college. I get it. We see how different things are for them being raised and as teenagers into college, but it's still just, how do we flip that switch of, like, why wouldn't you want to be at a place with a bunch of people with some cool things going on, and there's a scoreboard there, and your team's pretty good? Yeah,
Now we do. We have throughout the year awesome crowds. Yeah. Football, basketball, and hockey. Yeah. But it's trying to get make sure it's on. It's a part of what you do, right? Yeah. And it's a part of. So our students that show up do an awesome job, and we just need more of them more consistently.
Tell your friends. Yeah. What are the ticket prices for
students?
So
students get in free to everything except hockey.
Okay.
Hockey's a $5 nominal charge only because we're limited in seating. Yeah. And so we need to know how many of them are coming.
Yeah.
But we always tell them, we'll never turn you away. We may sell out the student section. We'll find a spot for you.
Yeah. Very smart. And by the way, when's the Ellman going to be ready?
It'll be ready.
For competition.
1st of September. So volleyball, we're co-hosting a tournament with USF, and so we'll have a number of games there Labor Day weekend.
And another, I wouldn't know if you'd classify it as defining, but to some people like me who just like to go to sporting events, sometimes just as a person of the public to enjoy a beer or two at a game. That has also happened, and so first of all, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've been doing it now for a few years. So.
Yes, I know,
Yeah.
and you were the first to do it. I mean, you guys got this done before USD and SDSU, and I know that probably wasn't the objective, but you guys seem to be a lot more just. Well, in my word, adult, but just a little bit more open about, hey, this is a part of going to big events, sports or non-sports, and here we are.
Back in the days where the concerns about safety and you're going to run into all sorts of trouble, had not seen it.
Yeah.
The number, I think what it's done is, hey, you can have an adult beverage and enjoy a football game, enjoy a basketball game, certainly enjoy hockey. So it's been great for us. And I get good feedback from people, and it has not been a problem whatsoever.
How does it, a lot of the proponents of it for you or for any other school, when we would talk about this in media circles, public circles, before it happened, is, well, it would be a great revenue driver.
Yeah.
How good of a,
it's
how?
Good. Yeah, it's good. I mean, but yeah, I think we started out by saying this isn't about just that.
Yeah.
This is about the whole experience and combined with everything. But yeah, it's good. But it's certainly not going to change our budget year.
Yeah.
But it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's go all the way back. This has been your life, basically. I mean, you were born here in Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
And when your father was an assistant coach at Augustana in the mid-'70s, and when you were 2 years old, he became the head coach.
No, he was an assistant. Yep. So went to be an assistant coach for Jim Wacker at North Dakota State.
Okay, that's right.
And then a couple of years after that was hired as the head coach when Coach Wacker left.
1979. And, he was there for 5 seasons, won a national championship, played for a couple others before he got hired at Tulsa. But you were really young then. How well do you remember that?
A lot. Yeah, I mean, I being a coach's kid, it's your life. It's your family's life.
Yeah.
And so, I remember a lot. I still, I joking with my own kids because they don't know my dad as a coach, right? They never experienced it, and so I'll either bring up a story or show them a picture, and it's pretty fun. I still remember in 1984, North Dakota State got beat by Troy State, and Chan Gailey went on to be the head coach of the Cowboys on a last-second field goal that in today's world wouldn't have counted because they didn't get it off in time. But,
really?
Remember seeing the ball go through the uprights?
Well.
Devastating.
Yeah. Wow.
So that was my dad's last game at North Dakota State. So yeah, a lot of great memories. Fun for me to go back a couple years ago. His 1983 team went into the North Dakota State Hall of Fame, so I got to go for that and just to see some of those guys. In today's world is fun.
You felt the gypsy-like life of an ascending coach for the first probably 13, 14 years of your life, from Sioux Falls, were you very young, to Fargo, to Tulsa, and then to Madison, Wisconsin, and then back to Fargo after his time ended in Wisconsin. So what was that like as a kid? Because I've heard about really famous and successful or struggling, whatever the case is, that could be rough at school if the team's not doing well. Plus having to move every few years.
Yeah, I don't know. I had great parents. So, wherever we lived was going to be just fine. And I thoroughly enjoyed being a coach's kid, and all that came with it. Being around the team all the time meant a lot to me. So, I always say we lived 2 football seasons in Tulsa, but 18 months. We only lived there for 18 months. But then, so had the chance. My dad, I had to be the youngest head coach in Division I football probably, and then so went to Wisconsin, took over a really tough situation. Madison's an awesome city, but it's tough when your dad's the football coach and the Badgers aren't winning. So I got to see both. I got to see that side of it too, right? A national champion environment at North Dakota State, and then where you go to Wisconsin, it's a really tough environment, tough place. But you learn a lot about a lot of things in that time. My dad got fired after 3 years. Went through some leadership changes in the university, and so, but they stuck around Madison for me to finish high school. So I got to finish at Madison Memorial, and so I'm forever grateful for that. But I was ready to, whatever they thought was best, I was ready to do.
How long was that between when they fired him and
my
you
sophomore
graduated?
Year? So it's two additional years.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
that had to be. What was it like for first of all, just for him, what do you remember about him going through this? Because he had been just so meteorically, I guess, successful in his first couple stops.
Yep.
He goes to a place, and Mike Daly, who is his defensive coordinator at NDSU, Tulsa, and Wisconsin, then became the head coach and basically started what we know of Jackrabbit football now in the 90s. And so he was along for the ride, and he detailed just – you're up against Michigan and Ohio State back in the
original
late
Big Ten.
1980s. In the original Big Ten, it was those two, and everybody else was kind of fighting for third most of the time. And that has a lot to do with budget, fan base, all that. So it's a challenging job in the very first place. Plus, Mike gave a couple of pretty colorful, stark examples of just how cheap they were. And so your dad was fighting uphill. So how did he, when he came home, what was this like for him when it's just
I think
the
we all
avalanche?
knew it. I mean, again, when you're a coaching family, you live and die with it just as much as your dad does, because you're around it, and you hear about it.
And you're like 10, 13, 14 years old in 13, that time,
14, 13,
where
14,
it's sports are like
you
everything
start
to you anyway.
You start to really understand it.
Yeah.
But we had a great support system. I mean, our assistant coaches had been with us for different stops too, and so you just have this built-in support network. So my dad handled it with a ton of class. I will forever be proud of him for how he went through that. But then the biggest thing for me, I think I took away was then to make the decision to stick around for me to finish high school. But then his post-coaching career was incredibly successful as well. Retired from Microsoft, was a site leader of the Microsoft campus in Fargo. Doug Burgum was instrumental in his career trajectory from there. So lots to learn, and when you look back, I couldn't think of anything better than how things turned out.
Yeah, you just detailed it, because I was going to get to that. He had this kind of second life after deciding not to, I think it was a decision just to not coach.
Got out of coaching.
Did he just say, kind of like Mike Daly was about the same age, which is about what the age we are now, late 40s, where this has been their career.
50s, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. Well, you could have fooled me. Where this was your career, this was your life, and nope, no more. Mike Daly just said, there's more to life. I want to do other things, go into private life, business of some sort. Sanford Health for him. Public relations for your dad. You've mentioned it. He was Doug Burgum's chief of staff at what was, I got it, Great Plains Software, eventually bought by Microsoft. So therefore an incredibly successful operation. And Doug, of course, becomes the governor of North Dakota, and now is the Secretary of Interior of the country. So again, how did your dad come to this line in the sand?
And this is nothing against any other coaches, but to make that transition that he did is not normal. I don't think a lot of people could do it. Right? I don't know. I could do it. But he taught himself. It started with him. He was determined, when he got out of coaching, he got his Series 7 license. Right. So he learned the financial world quickly, and so that eventually that's what led to coming back to North Dakota State, and then Doug taking him on. So just hey, it's about life is about the transitions and how you react to them.
What do you think was it that made him so successful in that second world, and how much of the first world of coaching and leadership, CEO of big operations himself, helped his second career?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
What kinds of things?
Well, I think number one, in a sport of football, like a season of football is like a lifetime. I mean, it's like 11 games of you're just like this. Yeah. But you can't be like this.
Yeah.
Right. I think that you always have to be. Don't get too high or too low. I had a college coach. Coach Rob Bollinger was my position coach, and he was always like, on Mondays, some good, some bad.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's how it was. You have to learn from what you can. But so I think just having an even keel, having to communicate to a group of 120 people every day, multiple times a day, that prepares you pretty well for a lot of things. Then just the external pressures, and what that, how you respond to those kind of things. I don't think anything probably fazed my dad after going through what he did as a head coach.
Yeah, it's a lot less public of a job.
A lot less public of a job, true.
There may be things that are either sliding or falling apart, but it's not out there in front of 80,000 people.
Right.
Or millions on TV.
Yeah.
But to nail this down, did he just, once the Wisconsin thing was done, did he just say, this is it? No more coaching for the rest?
I think it took a while to get there, and then and then was fine with that decision.
Once he was, what did he do in Madison for those couple of years?
Took a year off, and like I said, got his Series 7 license.
Okay, that's what he did.
And then, worked for Lutheran Brotherhood for a little bit, and then eventually they made it back to North Dakota State.
And so meanwhile, you finished in Madison, and you go to UND. Your dad, again, was he was the head football coach at NDSU.
Yeah, and we had been away for a while. And so Roger Thomas was the head coach at UND, who they had actually played college football together at Augustana, Illinois.
Okay.
My dad and Roger Thomas.
All
then
right.
coached together here at Augustana. So I had a connection there, and we had been away for a little bit. I certainly understood the rivalry, but had been away for a little bit. So, and I recruited them. I mean, I was Division III recruited athlete that I knew how good the NCC was, and I wanted to play there. Yeah. And so I went to Mike Daly's camp in Brookings.
There you go.
And then I recruited UND, and best decision I could have ever made at that time.
Why do you say that?
Well, I met my wife. She was a swimmer. She moved from Chicago to swim in North Dakota. Best friend still to this day, and teammate, roommate, Kirby Gary, Sioux Falls Lincoln High School.
Okay.
And then just an experience that, again, you go through, come through high school, you think you're pretty good, right? And then you get to college and you realize you're probably not as good as you thought.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was a part of some 3 conference champion. I think 3 times we made it to the national semifinals during my 4 years. So cool to be around that and to be part of something really, really special.
You kept it pretty modest about 20 minutes ago when I mentioned UND was pretty good at football when you were
you were there. It's part of some really successful
And you were a walk-on quarterback. How much did you get to play?
Not much. I think my career stats were, I was 2 for 3.
Okay.
So, when I would come in, obviously we weren't throwing the ball a lot.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We were usually up big on somebody.
Yes.
But was still, very, very much, I never took that as I still worked my butt off in the weight room. I always wanted to be a great teammate and teach when they bring in a younger quarterback who takes over for you on the depth chart. So my first day on campus, we had 7 quarterbacks on the depth chart.
Okay.
I was number 7. And I left as the number 3 quarterback 4 years later. So
you climbed the ladder.
I climbed the ladder through attrition, right?
So during this whole time, you're probably getting a sense of, I'm not going to the NFL here. Your dad, successful head football coach, but kind of went through the ringer, now in the business world. And so what were you thinking for yourself at that time? Coaching?
Yeah, probably coaching.
But you got into broadcasting.
Probably coaching until I interned at the campus TV station at UND, and that led to a summer internship at a TV station. My sister was going to law school in Tulsa. I went to live there for a summer and interned at the CBS affiliate. And all of a sudden it was like, okay, this is what I want to do. It was an awesome experience. And
did you intern in the sports department?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
So John Walls was my the sports director. He went on to be at Fox Sports, one of the first anchors at Fox Sports, and now he's out of TV but still works in PR. And then John Anderson, who was with ESPN forever, was the weekend sports guy.
Oh, wow.
Super. And he probably almost got fired for letting me do too much sometimes, but
what's
awesome.
Too much?
Well, drive a company vehicle to go shoot a soccer game or something, which was probably against the rules.
Yeah,
but,
did they let you carry?
He was awesome. Like he would let us do so much stuff, and so just had a really good experience.
Well, then is there a good John Anderson story? He seems like a great guy. He's very funny.
He was. He was super funny, and just like I said, anyway, he treated interns. Just gave us a lot of leash.
Good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think. It sounds like it was awesome.
It was great experience.
Did you get to go on the air at all?
No.
Okay.
No,
but did that help you get your job? Was your first?
For sure.
So was your first full-time job out of college at WDAY TV?
Yep.
And,
worked for Dana Mock and Stacey Anderson.
Forum Communications family.
That's right.
There
first
we are.
Paycheck was from Forum Communications.
Our bosses. That's where I'm getting my paychecks now. What was that experience like? Were you
It was great.
And were you reporter, weekend guy?
Yeah, reporter, photographer.
Yeah.
Fill in, very little anchor.
Okay. All sports?
Yeah, we did everything. I mean,
That's
WDAY
always
you
were in the sports department.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Didn't have to do any news. WDAY was always, a leader.
Yes.
And so got to do some great things there and really, really enjoyed it. Got married and then had an opportunity, people who knew people that job opening in Charleston, South Carolina, as the number 3 person in the sports department, so a step up. And fortunate to take that job. Was risky, never been there. Both my
Totally
wife and I
different
from the
part of the country.
Midwest. First time we saw Charleston was on the bridge in our U-Haul coming over in the middle of August. So.
Yeah. Middle of August. Wow,
Yeah, that
probably.
was great. Great timing. Unloaded a
Yikes.
U-Haul van with my father-in-law in 98 degrees.
It's one of the top cities I want to visit that I haven't visited in the country. It just looks so beautiful, the Southern hospitality. But what was it like for you living there and also working in sports there?
As the sports, it was you couldn't ask for more. I mean, we covered the SEC, the ACC, covered the Carolina Panthers, NASCAR, golf, high school football is huge. And then we covered FCS football. I really enjoyed it. It was a ton of fun.
How long were you there?
9 years. So in the last 5, I was the sports director.
Okay.
But I always knew we loved Charleston's. All 3 kids were born there. We still go back quite a bit. Charleston's one of the best cities in America. But I knew there was something else there. The third child probably was the kicker. It was like, man, this is tough. At East Coast News, if I hurry, I can get home by 12:15. Kids don't care.
Yeah.
They're up at whatever time.
Yeah.
And so it just knew there was an end in sight.
Okay, so it was the hours.
No, it's just, I saw the TV industry's changed a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
kind of saw that coming a little bit and knew I wanted to be around athletics. Didn't know what that meant. But started making some connections in Charleston and trying to talk to some people about things they do. And, eventually that led to my alma mater having a position that they took a chance on a guy with no fundraising experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
And, do you remember deciding to go yes on that? Was it a tough decision? You're going from Charleston, South Carolina to Grand
Not many
Forks,
people
North,
do it, right?
to Grand Forks,
to
North
Grand
Dakota.
Forks.
Yeah.
It really wasn't. I mean, Robin and I, my wife, have just always been on the same page and understanding that you take strategic, you can call it risks if you want, but opportunities that you don't know much about, but you're going to go for it just based on the people maybe that you know. And so, no, it wasn't a hard decision. Moving across the country is no fun.
Yeah,
but
I know.
but
Done it.
couldn't that was the absolute right decision for us.
And then we kind of hinted on this earlier, but what was the landscape like of UND athletics? What was your role, and what kinds of things did you see and learn?
So I came in as the director of what was then the Fighting Sioux Club, so the annual fund. Day after I started, the AD went on leave, and then so we were with interim athletic directors for this. My first taste of college athletics in that environment, right?
Yeah.
And no AD, and so leaned on. I was a foundation employee with a dotted line to the athletic director, and so leaned on the foundation staff, and they were terrific. And so we started a campaign, the largest campaign at the time for them, and it was great. I mean, it was learning, a totally new way of doing things.
Yeah.
You come from a TV environment that is very like boom, 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 time sensitive. This is it, to in the business world where sometimes things you don't really have a finish line, right? Like
You have to be
different.
very patient,
Yeah.
I'm guessing. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was great. I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay. And how long did it take you to realize, okay, this is where my career's path is now going?
Yeah. I think the first year I was like, wow, this is great. And I love development because development is about relationships, right? I mean, so to spend time with quality people who want to do good with their money is really powerful. And it so I loved that aspect of it.
And you mentioned you'd had no fundraising experience, and yet you really liked this, and obviously you got really good at it. How? Like what translated? Was it learning was it being comfortable being in athletics because you grew up with it, or
Yeah, I think you speak the language. I think that helps, but I think I had great teachers at both UND and Michigan State on the development side. So a lot of people you can lean on and learn from.
Yeah.
And but at the end of the day, it's about showing up and building relationships and helping people who want to find a way to do something good. So.
How would you describe being at a school whose administration decided we're changing the nickname of the school from the Fighting Sioux to the Fighting Hawks.
It was certainly a contentious time on campus, but the hard part was trying to explain to people this is we at the time we have to do this. The NCAA at the time said we are on the list, and so if you either do it or you're no longer part of the NCAA. And so certainly there were people that thought, well, then let's get out of the NCAA. Okay, well, that's probably not a great idea. So so it was an education, but I think I credit Brian Faison, who then came in as the AD, and when people look back at Brian's tenure, he was there during the transition, the nickname controversy, and did a terrific job of navigating that and putting them where they're at.
I can't imagine going through something where, again, you're not the person calling the shots, but you're witnessing the people calling the shots. You're certainly around a lot of
the ones taking a lot of the incoming.
and you're part of your job is to be around some of the more influential people that carry the big checkbooks that dictate a lot of things. So I can't imagine how invaluable that experience with that sort of controversy could help whatever was to come next. Eventually, at a place very similar, making somewhat of a Division I transition with some tough decisions to make. Eventually. Or have you ever seen it that way? Or?
I mean, I think you got to learn from every experience that you have. So there's a lot of parallels between anything that you go through. But that was an interesting time for North Dakota.
And then you go to Michigan State. I'm sure that was probably, how'd that come about? It had to be irresistible to go to the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think career-wise, I wanted to see what it was like at that level. And my parents both grew up in Flint, Michigan. My mom, my grandpa, my sister, all sorts of extended family went to Michigan State, so it wasn't just some place in the middle of nowhere. I knew what kind of success they had. I remember sitting in, Mark Hollis was the athletic director at the time, and I mean generally considered at the time, if not the best, top 3 in the country for ADs. I'm sitting in his office the week of the Michigan game on my interview.
Wow.
And just,
what year is this?
2012.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Mark D'Antonio, obviously Tom Izzo's entrenched as already a legend, and Mark D'Antonio's already won a Big Ten title. Just getting up there neck and neck with Michigan and Ohio State.
No, we I say we because I was there. We won it in 12-13.
It's okay.
So hadn't yet, but we're just on
the Wikipedia. I hate to bring this up. The Wikipedia of D'Antonio said there was a conference title in 2011.
Oh, there was. Because back in the
before the.
you're right.
I don't know if that was before the championship game. Whatever.
No, it was.
Anyway, he's doing well. It's going well at Michigan State. For football.
Football's up here. I was so lucky to land there at that time where a Rose Bowl. Which for old school Big Ten schools, the Rose Bowl was still that's the pinnacle, right? And for a kid who grew up in the Midwest, I got to go to the Rose Bowl for work, and I'm sitting there like, holy cow, this is unbelievable. So college football playoff, Cotton Bowl, obviously basketball, Final Four, just really, really, really cool to be there.
And were you mainly doing the same thing there? Was your primary job fundraising?
Yeah, fundraising. Just they had growing their staff, and so part of my job was to find new donors, and so I went to the West Coast a lot. They had a number of alums in San Francisco and LA, and so it was it's a great time to be a fundraiser when your team is really successful.
Sure. Having said that. You still have to have a unique skill set when you're dealing with a lot of people are pulling at them for their money, for their contributions, for all kinds of things, charities and other endeavors. And we would classify UND, especially at your time, a transitioning mid-major to, it's a mid-major. It's a Division I mid-major. Michigan State, Power 4, Big Ten. And now, when you came to Augustana, Division II, and still mostly Division II. What's a common denominator of having that skill set of it's such an important part of making an athletic program successful is to find the big contributions, and therefore it starts with developing relationships. Is there a common denominator no matter what the level of school?
Yeah, it's still, I hate to say it, it's relationships and the impact that people can make. If you can describe that impact that they can have, now at Augustana, just by sheer numbers, right? Your impact is probably going to be greater. Right. And so, But it comes down to those two things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? How long were you at Michigan State?
5.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then tell me about getting the call and who it was from Augustana that started the process of getting you
Mike
here.
Daly started it.
Okay.
He reached out to my dad to see if I'd have any interest, and I was like, yeah, sure, yeah. I had in December had gone through the first round of interviews at North Dakota for the AD job, and they made a great hire. Bill Chave's awesome, and I wasn't probably this was a better place for me, and so. But I'd gone through it and did research and started to think about things you have to think about as an AD, and I was like, I really enjoyed just going through that process and having to think about those kind of things that as an assistant AD you don't have to think about.
Right.
And so I said, yeah, I'd be interested, and then one thing leads to another, and you go through the process, you realize the people are great. I knew about Sioux Falls because Kirby Gary, my college teammate and roommate, was from here. I came here a couple times, but I'd always followed, Sioux Falls dynamic community, and so that was the first thing because my kids oldest was a sophomore, then 7th and 6th grade.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to I wasn't going to take them to some random community.
Right.
Sioux Falls checked those boxes and then some. So that was a huge deal, and then you just realize the people and the opportunities that are here.
Mike Daly at the time working for Sanford Health,
Yep.
which is still a major contributor to Augustana and so many other things in our lives here in South Dakota and the Upper Midwest. But what was his pitch? Or what did he
was
tell
just
you?
he just think there's great opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a growing community.
Yeah.
Facilities are good.
Yeah.
As they are in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Opportunity to be better. Great new president. So.
What were your impressions of her, Stephanie Herseth Sandlin? I'm sure you knew she was a 3-term Congress woman here in South Dakota, and this was her, and she had just been hired, I think, a year before or so.
Yep.
Explain that.
I walked out of my one-on-one time with her, and I think I called my wife and said I want to work for her.
Why was that?
Just the energy. Again, you could tell it wasn't going to be. You're not going to just sit still and just kind of run things. You're going to be allowed to try to push the boundaries a little bit and explore what's best for the university. So, and that on this campus, as a small campus, athletics can't be just on an island where, at Michigan State, athletics is kind of its own little world, right? It doesn't work that way here. It can't because I wanted to experience that because so I'm a part of the president's cabinet, right? So I understand the inner workings of everything going on campus, right? And that's appealing. That was appealing to me at the time, and still is.
Yeah, and when you come in there again, OJ's getting football off the ground pretty well. Tom Bilder's already won a national championship and has been there for at that point probably 10, 13 years. Dave Kraut is a walking legend. Huber and Melstad and everything's.
We won a baseball national championship 3 weeks after I started.
3 weeks. Wow. Yeah. Wright Myers entrenched in wrestling and pumping out All-Americans and cross country, tennis, golf, soccer, on and on. It's all very good. So were you, which I'm sure may have been, I don't know if it was at all a part of the taking hey, it's an athletic department. It's in a great place already. But did you have any understanding, or were you given any task would be a big word of these are kind of the objectives once you get going with the job? Did you have a sense of what that would be?
Well, I think as a campus, our first because it was I'm trying to think, there was a lot of leadership transition at the time on campus, my position being one of them, is to really take those first 6 months as a campus and work on a strategic plan of what it's going to look like. President Stephanie was coming into her second year, and so it was the right time for the university to say, okay, let's take a look at what, and athletics fits in there. It's one of the pillars of the strategic plan. So I think that was more about, hey, we need to chart our course over the first 6 months.
Okay.
See what that looks like. 6
months, and then when did the exploration of Division I for all sports and the Summit League start for you guys?
The exploration started, right away.
Yeah.
Before I came, during Slate's tenure, they had a consultant that they worked with, and to start to outline what it would look like, right? Which is just prudent, to understand what's the landscape, where are we at compared. And so that was, a lot of that 6 months was trying to understand it, trying to build relationships to get a good understanding of where Augustana was at compared to where if Division I's, if it's the right thing, what does that look like financially and otherwise? And so that was part of the exploration. And
eventually you guys did decide to go for it.
Yep.
And what do you remember being, if as much as you can, take us behind the scenes of conversations with athletic directors, presidents of some of the schools in the Summit League. They came here and visited here. What was your sense of your chances? And
it started internally, honestly, because it was us looking at ourselves.
Sure.
And so we formed a steering committee that was made up of coaches, administrators, community, and so just to really dig down into details. I'm sure there are some schools that probably make a decision and they just go.
Yeah.
But we weren't going to do that. It wouldn't be very smart of us, and so we took 3 or 4 months of steering committee work to say if these are our objectives, this is where we're at. This is where we may fall short now. This is some benchmarking. This is what it looks like at Division I. So part of an education, the Board of Trustees, voted for the entire strategic plan and understanding athletics got the most attention. I get it. That's why, that's why we love sports, right?
Yeah. It's a driver.
And so, but it was one piece of the strategic plan. And again, it wasn't just about winning games. It was about elevating the profile of the university and how can Augustana keep up with this dynamic community of Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
So and then the process. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. We felt really good about our process, I think, and how we approached it. That it wasn't herky jerky. It was very methodical and deliberate. And then we went through a virtual site visit during COVID, so it wasn't a campus site visit. So told no, not at this time. Back in May of 2020, and then dusted ourselves off because that's tough. You put a lot of work into thinking that's the right place for you, and then that slowly starts to go to the potential for Augustana hockey, and here we sit in 2026, and it's been awesome.
What were you told? Like, what were you told? The why of the no?
Yeah, just no, not at this time. I mean,
that's it.
There were some more things, but I wouldn't want to get into it. But
okay.
But good relationships with the A.Ds in the Summit League that were at the time, and many of them are still there.
I guess this is an appropriate time to ask. They only have 8 teams in basketball and fewer teams in other sports now. So, of course, some of us wonder, they're looking for league stability. The offices are right here. Is there any interest or exploration?
I always tell people, it's still in our strategic plan. If you look at it, we didn't take it out because it just doesn't make sense to all of a sudden change your plan, because we said at the time, and still, what does Division I look like?
Yeah.
Right, going through a lot of changes at that level too, as we all are.
Yeah.
So, someday is it the right place for Augustana? Maybe, but no, I'm not sitting here today saying, we're going for it right now.
Yeah.
No.
Do you feel like a lot of sports would be successful?
Our coaches recruit. Coaches recruit Division I athletes.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes is it hard as a Division II to get them? Yep.
Of course.
But our programs that are highly successful are recruiting at that level.
Yeah.
So sure, I think we'd have some sports that have proven they can, and we play them in the fall or in the spring for a spring sport.
Yeah.
We want to make sure
because I can remember at the time we're kind of like, Biller's ready to rock and roll, and so is Dave Krauth, and they they could be competitive right away. But okay, the pivot to before the pivot to hockey, do you think it was bad timing because it was the pandemic? There was a virtual tour, and generally during the pandemic, I'm throwing a huge blanket over the entire world here, but people were not as ready to make big changes.
Yeah, it could be. I wouldn't say anyone would say that. I don't think anybody would say that it helped.
Right.
But I'm not looking back to try to get that deep into it. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
But at what point? How long soon after you get to know that hockey becomes the goose to chase?
It was April of 21. I think was the T. Denny Sanford key meeting that led to us going, okay, we can do this, we got to go find others.
Okay.
Yeah.
Explain that meeting. And
yeah, it was actually Stephanie and Dr. Pam Holman, our executive vice president.
Yeah.
They laid out some potential investment options, Division I hockey being one of them, and his eyes lit up, and said go find others. And so that's what we set out to do, and then at the same time trying to understand the landscape, making sure we understood the landscape of college hockey and how we could do it as a Division II, and there's some wonky NCAA bylaw stuff that we have to ascribe to, but so spent then that summer on a pretty tight timeline to get moving.
Yeah. And just a quick sidetrack to that, because he passed away on Saturday.
Yeah.
I've already gotten statements from David Herbster and John Schemmel at USD, Justin Sell at SDSU, and in general, I just asked them, what did he mean? Would you have any of this, particularly those Division I schools? Would you be there without him? And obviously the answer is no.
Yep.
And so in your own words, depict what just that one person has meant to what you see here at Augustana.
Yeah, I look at it starting from the community perspective.
Sure.
Change this community. I mean, it's unbelievable. From a campus perspective, even before hockey, there was investments in other things on campus, scholarships. But Augustana hockey would not exist without T. Denny Sanford. And anytime he came to a game, we actually, one of the cool moments, we sat up here, right where we're sitting, and it was our second year. We decided to have Denny hand our captain his captain's jersey. And he didn't know he was going to be the captain, but it was Denny handing Luke Mobley the captain's jersey. Just awesome to see it. Incredible. And then the first time I gave Denny his jersey, anytime he came to a game, he was wearing his Augustana number 23 jersey. And our last game, he was here when we beat Bemidji on Saturday, and I still remember me and Garrett and Stephanie and Pam Holman meeting him and his family down below, and just having a pretty special moment of another milestone for our program, and thanking him for help making it happen. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Very cool. And that's where we can kind of get into the kind of the glitzy part of the athletic director job of hiring coaches and coaching decisions. That's that's what the public or us associate that job with so much. And so let's start with hockey and the exploration and the hiring of Garrett.
Well, I think the beauty of it was we had a runway. We knew we were going to launch, but we had a year yet, and we wanted to hire a coach a year ahead of time to recruit. Yeah. So we had this runway of, what does it end up being, like 6 months. So I made a ton of phone calls, not with all prospective head coaches, but to talk to others who give me some, and you start to hear the same names, right? And that's nice. You don't always have that kind of time. Yeah. Like usually you're needing to hire a coach pretty quickly. Here we had a runway, so tried to take advantage of it. And so I probably 60 phone calls of people there are a few names, Garrett being the top of the list, that kept coming up. Hey, young coach, certainly worth a look. And so our process, again, was very deliberate, probably different than a lot of places. But it led to obviously the hire we made, which was terrific. Fits in for Augustana. A couple things that were important to me at the time. I lived it as a Division II athlete with one Division I sport in North Dakota, and I didn't feel there was always some natural animosity, and I wanted to lessen that as much as possible. So to me, it was important to have someone who recognized that. Yeah. You're joining a highly successful athletic department, with a lot of really good coaches. Yeah. Well, you are the Division I sport, and there's going to be things you get that they don't because we're benchmarking against the top level. Yes. Someone who's humble enough to walk into that room. And Garrett played at St. Cloud State, same thing, roomed with football players. So he understood that dynamic, and that came through, and that's just who he is. Yeah. So that was important to me. Because at that time, what year was that you hired him? 2024? 22. 20. Oh, okay, 22.
So, at that point, you'd been here for 4 years, and, we're kind of circling back toward the end here. I really appreciate your time. We're kind of getting into recent developments. At that point, though, the highest profile sports before hockey came on board, obviously, football, you got to coach, again, entrenched, successful. Basketball and women's basketball as well. This was your first shot. I mean, there's got to be a part of you that's like, okay, here we go, I get to do this. And it didn't come from any spot of, the dismissal or the departure of it was just, you got to hire your baby, a first one. And in that moment and since, based on, others that you had worked for you, what is kind of a baseline, a process? How do you go about, like, this is how we're going to decide on who's going to lead this team, this program? Well, any sport.
I think I'm not afraid to lean on others. Certainly, the head coach here was also a leadership decision. It was a number of us. Ultimately, the AD. Right, a huge part of that. So I'm not afraid to lean on others for their interpretation. But I think your process kind of changes. This was so unique, right? You're someone who's going to start up a program. You're not going to compete for a year. Now, as a coach, that's probably hard to wrap yourself around, right? Like, all I'm going to do is recruit, right, to something, and I'm recruiting to a building that doesn't exist. To a program that I don't. What are our expectations? Who knows, right? So that's a challenge. So very, very different than having some established things. But I think our process was a good one. We ended up with, I think, 4 finalists, and Garrett rose above them all.
Sure.
And realized during year 1. We were competitive from the start. I still remember the first intermission at Wisconsin. We opened at Wisconsin. And I was just standing kind of near the tunnel, just being down there. And Gary said, we belong. And I was like, all right, well, good. That's great. And then next weekend we come home and we sweep Bowling Green. And then we go on the road, and to be in the building in Denver when we take the national champions to a shootout and win the shootout. Pretty special.
That's crazy that it still only counted as a tie, did it? Or did it?
Yeah, it's college hockey.
But felt like a win, right? Incredible. When Tom Billiter decides to leave for Emporia State, how much of a surprise was it? And then what went into determining stay right on the bench and hire Cody Schilling?
It was a surprise, and I think it took all of 3 hours to get Cody signed, sealed, delivered. We talked to his team that afternoon because that was. I think as an AD, you're always watching and observing and seeing. I always tell young assistant coaches, like, when you want to see an assistant coach that doesn't have blinders on, because coaching can be very insular in this. This is my job. All I care about is this sport. Those that have their eyes open to the whole department and understand there's a marketing person that does this, or there's a communications person that does this. That those are the type that I feel like make head coaches, because not every assistant wants to be a head coach. Not every assistant should be a head coach, but those that show that and that build relationships outside their sport are important. So Cody checked those boxes, and then some.
It's gone pretty well.
It has. He's done great.
Second place out of 14 teams
and
in the
today's
NSIC.
world, where in that sport in particular, when you have a coaching change, doesn't matter. You're just it's gonna be. But we brought in some great kids, and lost a few too, but brought in some great ones. And Cody's done a terrific job.
Meanwhile, in women's basketball, it was a tough transition after Dave Krauth left. What do you recall going into the decision of hiring Jillian Flores-Bennett, and then ultimately it not working out and deciding it's not going to work out anymore after just 1 year?
Learning that, hey, you gotta, if you see something going, not that I think Jillian's a very good basketball coach. It wasn't working for us, so for us. We make that transition, and I'm really pleased with what Nate's done with the program. He's done a great job of incremental wins in year 2, but you can just feel a different culture amongst the team. And again, you go through a coaching transition no matter what. There's just transition, and in today's world where players come and go, and so have some stability after this year. And so feel really good about where they're headed. And I know he's excited about his recruiting class coming in, too.
He applied for it when Dave stepped down, correct? That's what I've been told.
Private school, I don't have to
obviously, you feel good about the decision to hire him the second time around. And how would you depict that culture? You said the culture is going well.
Yeah, it's going. I think it's there's always bringing in. Again, it's Augustana is different, right? Mm-hmm. So there's the academic piece, and so I think it's a culture that we're used to being competitive, right, and winning, and so you go through a couple tough years. It's not like you snap a finger and bring it back, right? But your leader has to be still the same person and be able to adjust, because there's some things about Augustana that are different, but to bring back some of that competitiveness. And that's what I see. I see our team, those younger players, and some of our transfers that came in. Like the game against Duluth across the street. I think it was like a 59-58 game.
Yeah.
Which that is not Nate's preferred style.
Okay. Yeah.
But adjusted, and they found a way, hit a last-second shot to win it.
Yeah.
So those kind of moments that I see coming more and more.
I have just a couple more, and that's the two coaching moves you had to deal with in the last couple of months here in the summer in June. For one, Greta Melstead, just take me back to getting the call either when Minnesota was looking to hire her, and when she took it, and also I'll just give you a chance to explain in your own words, even though you already did it in a press release, what she meant to Augustana softball.
Oh man, Greta! I truly, I learned from Greta over my 8 years. People may not realize, because she's such a nice person. She's so smart. Yeah. She's the ultimate competitor. Yeah. And instilled that in her teams. Yeah. And that's why I always loved being around our softball teams, because they're the same. They'd be great. You going with them on the bus or hanging around the hotel. They're great. Then when they're on the field, they're different. And I just love that. And so, Greta, obviously what she's done here, I mean, we were able to do the new Bowden Field because of her national championship, everything. So couldn't be happier for her that this is an opportunity. But it wasn't an easy decision for her either, and that says a lot about her. Yeah. You'd think, oh, man, Big Ten calls, you just go. But it wasn't that easy for her. But I'm excited for her, and excited for Colleen now, too, to step in, and she's hit the ground running, and excited for what she can bring.
What drew you to her? She had 13 years at St. Catherine and St. Paul, Division III school. She won about 58% of her games. What made her? Because this is a big position in Division II softball.
It is. Yeah. Well, it also has to be someone that's willing to take that on, right? Yeah. Let's face it. It's not for everybody. When you look at, she's a Hall of Famer. She was literally in the Hall of Fame. Yep. Won a national championship, and now I've got to replace her. I think it's having that right mindset where you celebrate it and build on it. She's actually built a great relationship with Greta, and so just coming in through. You go through that process, and it was a deliberate process for us. But in today's world, you do probably have to move a little quicker, because even in that sport, we had some. You're always worried about transfers, and so we wanted to move deliberately, quickly at the same time. So, she just kept rising and rising. I didn't know much about her at all before, but the more from my first conversation with her to the on-campus interview, I'm just excited. She has a plan. She knows who she is as a coach, and so knows the things to build on from what our program has been.
I'm going to guess, drawing from being a person who's spent most of her life and career in Minnesota, which is a big recruiting base for you guys here and there and every point in between. Yeah, may have factored in. Also at a private religious school.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. All those things. Yeah. Because again, we have our softball roster. We have a number of nursing majors, health sciences, something like accounting, and so. there's some nuances there. And so someone who's been at a private school, in a place, it's an all-women's school, and so, I can imagine there's some recruiting challenges there.
Yeah.
Not everybody maybe wants that experience, and it was actually heard from some people maybe who were recruited by her there who were really impressed, didn't choose to go there for whatever reason, but were really impressed with Colleen.
Okay.
And so, very
good.
excited to have her on campus.
I'll try to kind of quickly wind it down because we're getting to that time.
Yep.
But then volleyball pops up.
Yeah.
Jennifer Jacobs,
Yep.
9 years at the helm. So you didn't hire her, but she was new, fairly new when you got
she
here.
was. Yep.
It's a tough league, and she's now the associate director of the high school association in Minnesota. So she moves out of the sport. What did she mean? And Erica Buke, meanwhile, did I say that correctly?
Erica Butte. Yep.
She's what, 25 years old?
Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, she was just playing a few years ago.
Yep,
the
she
two-time Libero of the Year in the NSIC. That whole ball of wax.
Timing was challenging, no question. When Jen told me on a Monday morning, but you look at the calendar. Okay, we got
that is a tough time of year to hire a coach.
We've got our volleyball team reporting here the first week of August, so got to get to work. And grateful that the university allowed us to move really quickly. Yeah. And so I had watched Erica. So number one, got to know her a little bit because she was one of our student athlete leaders. So got to know her maybe a little more than some that I do, and was always impressed with her. She was an absolute competitor. Yeah. Was a leader for our volleyball team. Then I was excited when she got into coaching. And so then last year she brought her team here as the head coach of Bemidji. Yeah. And so I watched her coach, and I think we swept them. But I watched how her team responded to her. I watched her command of her team. And I went up to her after. I said, hey, your kids play hard for you. Like, you're doing a great job. And because we had talked when she was offered the job too, and perspective, and just because I always admired her. And so I just always remembered that. And so here she is. Yeah. Couldn't be more excited. Yeah, however, I don't know if she's 24 or 25, but young, great energy. She's a strategic thinker, and has been through some difficult situations at Bemidji. And so really excited, and her team will report in 2.5 weeks, I think. Yeah,
wow. I'd love to go through every sport when we don't have time. I mean, you've replaced some legends in the past few years in golf. Cross country for sure. And we all know how much Tim Huber has meant to Augustana baseball, and still here. I can't talk to an athletic director in 2026 in college sports without NIL and the portal, and how much of that takes up your time as mostly Division II athletic director, although it might present a different challenge in Division I hockey.
Yes, it does. I would say on the NIL front, we've embraced it from the start. I mean, we want our athletes to have the opportunity. We're not talking tens of thousands. Mm-hmm. We're not talking $1 million. Yeah. But can they do something? And then they have. So we partner with Open Doors. It's one of the leaders in the country as a third party. They're a great partner of ours. So our athletes have the opportunity to capitalize on name, image, likeness.
That was accompanied by just because you hit a spark in my head. Blake Lawrence was his name. He's a football player at Nebraska, and he kind of was ahead of the curve years ago before this. How do we help out athletes? Go on.
Yep. So we have a marketplace where they can, and we're trying to keep them going, and some athletes have absolutely embraced it and are doing great. Transfer portal, you can see it on our coaches' faces. In some of our sports where that's part of the deal. We're fortunate. And I'm not naive. I understand it can change quickly. But I think our numbers are lower compared to the rest of the NSIC. Yeah. I do check in on that. I look in the portal and try to see where we're at, and that our numbers are lower. Mm-hmm. And hopefully it's because our coaches are providing a great experience. They value the academic experience at Augustana. Because if someone's going and let's say, rumors of one school giving $10,000 cash, number one, I don't know if it's true. Mm-hmm. There's nobody fact checking, but it's true because it's in recruiting, right? And so, but if that's gonna if that's what a kid is looking for, then probably Augustana is not the right place for them anyway. But yeah, I feel it for our coaches, because during certain times of the year, you can see it on their faces. It's tough. You got to keep recruiting your own roster, and where they value the relationships of recruiting, you don't get that in the transfer portal. I mean, you better make a quick decision, right? Now, in the sport of hockey, it's a very tight window. Our coaches have done a really good job of probably someone they recruited before, so they had a previous relationship, and so feel really good about adding them to what is a really good culture in that locker room. So, but sorry to interrupt.
No, that's okay.
But I think the NIL, everything's going to accelerate quicker in the sport of hockey, where maybe 3 years ago it wasn't even a thing at all in college hockey, and now it is. It's becoming more and more.
Is Garrett staying here as part of that, just feeling comfortable that Augustana has that part of it covered well enough that he's not going to worry about?
Those are conversations we've had. So I think we're on the same page of, hey, we've got to do some things. We have to find ways to do things we hadn't done before, or that maybe for our campus was like, wow, that's a big step. But now we're doing them. And so I think so.
Okay, we'll finish on Jeff Filling, because I've talked to everybody else about him, and I can't. So I feel like I can't let you go without. Everybody knows that situation. Battled cancer, 40 years, voice of Augie, came back triumphantly, football, and then just it crept up on him and got him last spring. How does the leader of the Augustana Athletics depict? I'm sure you had to do so.
Well, when you think of Augustana Athletics, for so many of our fans, that's the voice, and it is. I was so grateful that he came back for that year, because I know it meant a lot to him. It meant a lot to us, obviously, but I know it meant a lot to him to be able to have that and to battle through what he battled through to get to a point where physically he could do it. That meant a lot. And so, I can't say enough about Jeff and the impact he had on this whole department, the relationships he built. He was our MC for a Hall of Fame, so his dry sense of humor.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
He wasn't afraid to use it.
It was
as
awesome.
An MC,
he displayed it many times.
On the air.
Yeah. I think we got about 90 minutes with him last summer, and it was sprinkled throughout for sure.
Well, I would do halftime at football, probably half the games, and I would just roll my eyes. Of course, it's on radio, so I can just look at him like, I gave him a look like, really? You're going to ask me that question? Because he would go anywhere he wanted to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but no, miss Jeff and miss hearing his voice. But he will forever be the voice of Augustana Athletics.
We covered a lot of ground. I hope I didn't make you late for anything.
Nah, we're good.
You sure?
Yeah.
And we won't take the slog next time. But I really appreciate you doing this today.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Josh Morton, Augustana Athletic Director, for video producer Cordell Wright, and the help we got here from the Augustana Sports Information staff. I'm John. Happy hour, and cheers.
You need anything else, John?
No, I think I'm good, Greg. I think I'm going to tap out.
All right. Have a good night.